Yo, what's good? Yo, what's good? It's me. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm here to talk a little bit about the R. Kelly case. Today he got charged with multiple counts of racketeering and sex trafficking after many years of basically being let off the hook by the community, by the music community, by just people letting him off the hook for what he was known to do with women and known to do with a lot of women like Sparkle's cousin, like Aaliyah, like a lot of other countless numbers of women. They hit him with mad charges, like 4 or 5 counts of the Mann Act, which was actually what historically, if you look it up, 1913, what Jack Johnson got hit with, and also they hit him with um, the RICO law because it was sort of like it was kind of like a sex cult that he was running. So finally, the Pied Piper of R&B, as he used to call itself, basically flaunting it in our faces, flaunting it in the people's faces. You know what I'm saying? Letting us know, look, I am doing that, and y'all know I'm doing it, but I'm getting away with it because people like my music. I have it on, like, it was literally, it was literally on tape years ago. Like one of the first porn tapes that, besides like Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson, that people had circulating and floating around was R. Kelly, urinating on that girl. Um, Aaliyah's first single back in 1995, AJ Nothing But a Number. So this was like the worst kept secret in the history of music, and everybody knew about it, and he got away with it for mad years because people just, nah, he just a singer, he's R. Kelly, he's whatever. So finally, justice has caught up with this dude, and he's finally going to jail, and I'm glad they're throwing a book at him. And one of the things that is really going to go down with him is how they're going to treat him in jail. You know what I'm saying? How they're going to treat him in prison. There's certain ethics. Hey, Lisa, what's up? There's certain ethics and certain codes that even prisoners, even people in jail, live by. Yeah, prisoners and people in jail and shit, they mad grimy, they go down for this and everything. But even them, they don't mess around with minors, they don't mess around with the younger people, and they don't mess around with rapists. As a matter of fact, if you watch a lot of prison channels, prison story channels here on YouTube, you'll notice that they have a word for that, and they call it chomo, child molesters. You know what I mean? So chomos, dudes like R. Kelly, people like this, is just straight food to these people behind bars because they have a code they live by. They might not be the most upstanding citizens, that we know. You know what I'm saying? But they have a code they live by. And a lot of people will always make excuses for R. Kelly too. That, oh well, he was abused too. He was a victim of sexual molestation by a family member, and hurt people hurt people. Yeah, that's true. Hurt people do hurt people. But at a certain point, it's like, come on, God, you know what I mean? You got to break your cycle. You got to break out of that cycle of destruction, and you got to not do that. You know what I'm saying? You got to let your upper self, the more moralistic self, the more self conscious self, conquer the lower self. And as the Muslims say, not give in to your nafs, not give in to your lower self, and not be the victim, not become what you hate. Remember what he said. Remember what Obi-Wan Kenobi said in Revenge of the Sith. He said, "Now, Anakin, you have become what you sought to destroy. So a lot of people that are victims of child molestation, like R. Kelly, they do become predators, but that's no excuse. You have control of your own actions. You are the master or the mistress of your own destiny. And people know Aaliyah because it was a famous case. It was a high profile case. Sparkle's cousin was a high profile case, but it's so many more. Yeah, maybe you can get help by talking to somebody, Lisa. Hopefully hopefully, like, since he's a high profile person, hopefully, like, they keep him out of the general population because, again, it's just something that is really offensive to uh, people in jail, violence against children, because many of the people in the prison system are fathers. You know what I'm saying? So they're not gonna tolerate that. But if the jail itself recognizes that he's a high profile celebrity and he's a risk, you know what I'm saying? They'll keep him in a separate location where dudes can't get to him, and then maybe then he could open up and get the help he needs, for conquering those demons. You know, but I just wanted to bring this up, the Mann Act, because soon as like I heard this Mann Act, I'm like, oh shoot, that's what they got Jack Johnson on in 1913, and a couple of years ago, Trump had pardoned Jack Johnson. Now, who's Jack Johnson? Jack Johnson was actually the dude in 1908. He became the first black heavyweight champion of boxing, and they got him on the Mann Act. And what the Mann Act is when you transfer an underage female from one state to another, that's what the Mann Act is. That's what that constitutes. Transferring your underage minor, underage female from one state to another. Basically, R. Kelly would take him from Illinois, where he lives, to another place, and that's considered a Mann Act. And so did allegedly Jack Johnson. Now, with Jack Johnson, they always will say, well, it was some racial bias. And also another person that got caught with this famously, yeah, was Chuck Berry. Now, I don't know if either Jack Johnson or Chuck Berry actually did this, but with R. Kelly, we know he's done this. You know what I'm saying? Also, what they got him on, Lisa, was the RICO Act, racketeering. It stands for Racketeering Influence in a Corrupt Organization Act. And this act was created to really target the mafia, and it's been used to take down several criminal organizations like the Mexican mafia, like the Italian mafia, like the Bloods, like the Latin Kings, big time street organizations. And why they got him on this kind of thing was because, again, R. Kelly was involved in a group. You know what I mean? He had his victims. Uh, he had his victims organized into a group. You know what I mean? A cult, basically what they call it, a sex cult. So they could target him easily as a group of individuals, like they did the mafia, or like they do these terrorist groups, easier than just targeting one individual because you get a lot of people to snitch on that person. Yeah, basically, listen, that's racketeering, and racketeering also is using certain businesses and connections to make money. You know what I mean? Which is what he was doing. He was basically a lot of times too was pimping out these young girls as victims. You know, so they got him on multiple crimes, and I would love to see. I mean, well, obviously now probably not going to happen. But I don't know. He's not. Is he? Um, this is New York. So New York, he can't really write a book or a memoir because again, there's the Son of Sam Act in New York where a person cannot make um they can't make money off of their crime. You know what I mean? Because the New York State doesn't want somebody to go into jail that's a convicted rapist or murderer, and then all of a sudden start writing books and making mad money off their crime, like the Son of Sam killer David Berkowitz was trying to do. Son of Sam was a famous killer in the '70s that was going around killing, girls with a certain hair color. So when he got into jail, he started to write these books and started to make mad bread off these books. So I don't think New York State is gonna let R. Kelly do that and tell his side. But I would love to see some of the girls tell this. And yeah, they told it in Surviving R. Kelly, but they never really told it, um, in a movie sense, you know. But like Lisa said, and like other people has said, justice was for Aaliyah today. Justice was for many of these other girls that was under the abuse of R. Kelly. I mean, was he a great artist? Yes. But I feel like even when he dies, this crime, this legacy of this crime is still gonna hang over him. And a lot of times we can't even look at the song. I know I can't look at the songs the same way. Because you look at a song like Ain't Nothing Wrong with a Little Bump and Grind, right? And you're like, damn, well, what's he really saying? What's he cryptically saying in a lot of these songs? My body, my mind is telling me telling me no, but my body is telling me yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for many years, like I said, he was flaunting his crimes in front of the people. He was telling you, listen, I'm doing it and I'm getting away with doing it, you know? And we got to bring these people to justice. We can't continue to protect pedophiles. Same thing with Brother Polite in the conscious community. People expose Brother Plight. People expose Africa Bambaataa for what he was doing to them boys all them years. Just because a person is nice in music and they make classic music or they make classic hits or they're popular in the conscious community, come on, don't let who they are cloud you from seeing what they are. You know what I'm saying? Even the Bible says that a wolf comes in sheep's clothing. There's a lot of predators in the community that they hide behind music. You know what I mean? They hide behind their reputation. Lisa says that they need to charge people that aiding and abetting. Yeah, they probably will. You know what I'm saying? This reminds me of, speaking of the conscious community, this reminds me of what went on with Dr. Malachi Z. York of the Nubian community, of the when he had those people, those girls, and his cult was featured on an episode of Montel Williams back in the '90s. He had girls in a cult, you know, living on his compound, and they was afraid to touch him because he was connected with, politics and connected with religion, and they was afraid to touch this dude Malachi York, aka Dwight York, until finally his son snitched on him, and after they moved from Brooklyn to Georgia, they finally raided the whole compound and they found out what was going on with these girls. What happens with people in positions of power And a lot of times people will use religion to shield their evil. You know what I mean? R. Kelly was among these. You know what I'm saying? R. Kelly had so many songs, You Saved Me, and so many songs that was like religious. And meanwhile, he was abusing all these girls, just like with Dr. York, just like with the Catholic priest. Hell, just like African Bambaataa. You know what I mean? African Bambaataa was doing the exact same thing. He wasn't using religion, but he was using political consciousness. He was using hip hop. And people, when they found out about Bam, they said, well, we got to give him a pass because he represents hip hop. He's a piece in hip hop history. Yeah, you can never take away from what Bambaataa had done as far as his accomplishments, like you can never take away from what R. Kelly had done. But if what that person did in his life is evil and it overrides what they had done good, forget what they have done good. That goodness is canceled out by the supreme evilness that they had just done. And you can't tell me that religion is going to save that person. You know, you can't tell me, especially anybody that has is a father to girls and loves and cares about women and girls, that religion is going to absolve that person of their crimes, of that inappropriate crime, because that is sinister. That is evil. You know what I'm saying? A lot of time things people do that people say are evil, like theft or even murder, is evil too, but it's evil out of necessity. A lot of times what people do, they gotta kill to eat and all that stuff. We still live in a very animalistic society. But raping and molesting and, and brainwashing and manipulating minors, it's no need for that except for your own hedonism, your own evil soul. And if we let that slide in the community, if we let pedophilia slide in the community and we give them passes because they're singers or they're fathers of hip hop, you know what I mean? Then why should anybody take the urban community or the, you know, why should anybody take the black community or the urban community serious when they let people get away with pedophilia? That's just like what the Hasidic community does in my neighborhood. There's many people in the Hasidic community in my neighborhood where I live that are involved in pedophilia, involved in rape of young girls, rape of young boys. But because they have they have a complex about them, a victim complex about them. They always feel like they're under attack because of the things that happened to them in history, like the pogroms in Russia, whatever. They they say, oh, if the FBI comes after them or the government comes after them, they say, oh, I'm a victim of persecution. I'm having my religious liberties shifted away, or somebody like R. Kelly will say, I'm a victim of racial, like he tried to say in the Gayle King show. I'm a victim of racial bias, or they're biased against me because I'm famous, or they're just trying to get money. In some cases, like Michael Jackson's case or whatever, they are trying to get money. So it does kind of make um, people look bad. But in this case, in the case of R. Kelly, nah, that wasn't no, that wasn't. There was evidence there. There was tangible evidence there. But he intimidated other girls through his money. You know what I'm saying? Through his power of persuasion. So anyway, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell button to see my next video is coming out. The aura is sad because I can never really look at albums that I used to love, like The Best of Both Worlds or like the Space Jam soundtrack, ever really the same. You Are Not Alone, I can't look at the same. In a Hotel with Cassidy, I cannot look at the same. So many songs and so many other hits that I used to love that I cannot. And I don't believe in cancel culture, but in this, I gotta say this dude has to be canceled. Peace.